Good afternoon. I'm still Hector. It's an honor to be here, and this was an idea that I've had for many years. A grassroots idea, not supported so much by government or individual agencies, but by people in recovery, those affected personally and affected others, family members, because this affects us all. Addiction is a spiritual search, whether we realize it or not. We're looking for God, whether we realize it or not. Now, Zach wanted me to talk a little bit about the vision moving forward. The way we envision this is it's going to be a walk similar to the Olympics, where we hand off a torch from up north, Newark, Wilmington, Del Mar, Selbyville, Bethany. And we walk together and we light the big torch here, similar to the Olympics, celebrating recovery and the lives that have been transformed by it. I've been a professional in the field of addiction for about 30 years now. I've been impacted by this myself. I'm in recovery now for 35 years. There's many paths to recovery, and I'm not judging anybody in the method that they choose. I'll leave that to God. But for me, the thing that worked in the long run were the 12 steps of AA. It is a path of internal transformation. The world doesn't need to change. I needed to change. I had to realize that I had a problem. And powerlessness does not necessarily mean being pathetic and pitiful. It simply means we've lost control over whatever it is that's got you. As a result of the loss of control comes the unmanageability, the negative life consequences as a result of the loss of control. I had to realize that 100%, and I'm still certain about that. I cannot have a drink today, even after 35 years, unless it's a 55-gallon drum, and that's probably not going to be enough. And it's about perspective. If whatever it is that's got you in its grip, if by giving this thing up, are you giving anything up, or are you gaining everything? This thing becomes a priority. It's demonic in my mind. We come into the world out of our mother's wombs, and I'm sure when I arrived on the scene, the doctor didn't hold me up and say, "Hey lady, I think you need a refund. Looks like a future drug addict and alcoholic." That wasn't the way it went. But things happen in our life, and the professionals say that addiction doesn't work. Well, semantics for the most part. It does work for a minute, an hour, a day, but it's a short-sighted solution that only compounds the problem. When you come back down, everything that was troubling you, or that's a mess in your life, is still there, if not worse. Recovery takes a lot of courage. It doesn't take a whole lot of skill or courage to be an addict, an alcoholic, an inmate. I got skills, as I tell John. Within the next 5 minutes, I could probably get us all a 20-year bid. But to sit down and face that man, that woman in the mirror, that's what requires courage. So I had to take a look at myself. And that's what the 12-step process forces you to do. And I had to take my inventory, not the world's inventory. For people affected by addiction, I think we share a similar trend of thought. We think God's out to get us. It's a cosmic plot. Nothing's ever our fault in the beginning. And I blamed everything in my life that God hated. And a lot of terrible things happen as, as I'm growing up, adverse childhood experiences. That does not mean I'm a victim, because I have choices today. But I internalized this belief that God didn't love me or care about me. And that was the furthest thing from the truth. And I also thought people weren't there to help me. But there were a ton of people out there trying to help me. I just didn't want the help. So when you get beat down, and some of us are what I call stupidly stubborn. I'm the guy that had to get hit in the head with the sledgehammer 75 times before I figured out it hurts. Get your attention. And this takes a lot of courage to sit down and face your life and all the damage that we've done. We don't need to be worried about Al-Qaeda or the terrorists. In our addiction, we are kind of like the terrorists, tearing up everything, all the while saying we love our family to death. I had a sponsor who told me, Hector, shut up. Quit saying that stuff. You love the guy at the dope house and the liquor store. That's where your attention, your time, your money goes to every day. You cannot say the same thing about your family. And I thank this man. Every year when I get my coin, I go to his grave and I put it on his gravestone. Thank him for helping me, because I didn't want any part of this. Treatment is needed. More of it. This thing is not going away. For us, as I said, it's a solution of sorts. You go to rehab or treatment places and they give you these wonderful workbooks, and I'm not downing that. But they're asking you about your 5-year vision. Hell, I'm just trying to get through the next 5 minutes. I couldn't think that far. So treatment in all its forms, there needs to be more of it. There needs to be an emphasis on family treatment, not just individual treatment. And it needs to be long-term. We just had an ordinance here in Dover that was shot down about, penalizing or fining the homeless population, which I thought was absurd. I like to say, addiction, homelessness, any of this, given the right set of circumstances, this can happen to anybody. Don't fool yourself. And once you get down there, it's really hard to dig out. I realize I can't do this thing alone. In the 12 steps, the pronouns are not singular. They don't say I or me. They say us and we. They knew what they were talking about. And historians will record that one of the greatest things that ever happened in the 20th century was the creation of Alcoholics Anonymous. And now there are dozens and dozens of other 12-step fellowships that follow that model, addressing all kinds of issues. The way I conceptualize addiction is not very clinical. I call it the hole in the soul. Something is missing. If my life's a mess, to whatever degree, and it doesn't have to be a 10 where you want to jump off the bridge and kill yourself, even though that was one night the best idea I could come up with. It comes in many forms. It's not just drugs and alcohol. I work for the Delaware Council on Gambling Problems, but I'm not simply the gambling guy. I'm an addictions counselor. We miss the point sometimes, and people, this thing shifts and shapes and manifests itself in a variety of disguises. Heck, even going to a 12-step meeting sometimes can be a relapse trigger. Because you're lonely and you're looking across the room and there's that cute little guy over there. Don't do it. It's not just drugs and alcohol. It's gambling. Gaming, for any of you who play video games. Our children, our grandchildren. Ordering 50 more things off of Amazon that you probably don't need. Hooking up with anybody that's got a pulse, that's breathing, that smiles at you. Because I think sex feels good unless you're doing something wrong. But anyway. It's a spiritual search. I didn't realize it. But I'm looking to be united with God. The beauty of the AA thing that to me was so profound It wasn't just a mental or physical thing that they were looking at. They were looking at the spiritual foundation. You address that, and then everything else changes. Slowly, over time. But we live in a society where we want everything right now. Instant. If you're in the fast food line at McDonald's and there's 2 cars in front of you, you start getting irritated because it's not quick enough. That's not how recovery works. It's incremental, daily, ongoing, a day at a time. And we don't do it alone. I can't thank the organizations enough that are out here, especially the faith-based organizations who are out in the streets feeding people. You know, we need more housing. We need longer periods of time for people to get themselves together. A lot of times people getting out of jails after long bits or getting in recovery after sometimes decades of substance abuse, they're trying to make up for lost time. And that's a problem. There's 25 years of my life I'll never get back. It's gone. And when I first started to come to in recovery, I realized, wow, all those people I was making fun of and calling suckers, they're the ones whose houses are paid for and can retire. My retirement plan is I'm going to have to work till I'm dead. And that may be the same for some of you. Find something you like to do. Because I get up every morning, and before my feet hit the floor as I wake up, I say the same prayer. Dear God, thank you for the day that I'm about to have. I get out of bed, I kiss my mother's picture, and thank her for the gift of life she gave me, because I wasn't always a good son. I go downstairs and say my prayers and get started with my day. And I end it the same way. Society says that they want to help us. But there's that NIMBY thing, you know, not in my backyard. So they want to place us here, there, or somewhere else. I kind of like to say that people in addiction are the 21st century lepers. I got news for you. We need to hold our heads together. We have a right to be here and draw breath on planet Earth. We're not a mistake. We're not pieces of you know what. We have to address that internalized shame. Guilt is one thing that says you made a mistake. Shame says you are the mistake. And at some point we start to internalize that message that we're no good, deficient, defective, less than. And that's not the truth. And from a faith-based perspective, particularly from a Christian standpoint, if you read your Bible, notice who God used throughout the course of time. Not the most gifted, the most talented, but sinners. Egregious sinners. Us. They say Jesus is coming back. All right. He could go to some churches. This is just a Hectorism. And I'm not sure he'd feel real welcome. Because it's not supposed to be a place where you're dressed in your finest and everybody's doing okay. It's supposed to be a hospital with answers for people who are hurting. If you went to a meeting, he'd fit right in. Because if I read my Gospels correctly, when he came into the earth plane, he didn't check in at the 5-star hotel in Jerusalem. He was technically homeless. We don't hear a lot about his life past 13 when he was talking to the rabbis. But I just wonder if he had gotten teased a lot by the other kids. You know, Joseph ain't your real daddy. His best form of transportation was that donkey at the end. He didn't have a plane or a jet or a limo wearing a 3-piece, $10,000 suit. He hung out with people like me, like us, illiterate fishermen, thieves, liars, drunkards. He understands us. So recovery is more than just putting down the drink or the drug or the bet or whatever it is you're involved with. That's a foundational point. You got to start there. It kind of works if you do. But it's about addressing everything, laying everything on the table that we've ever come to believe, and sifting through it to see what works and what doesn't. And then being courageous enough to let that stuff go that's impeding our progress. Because you can get used to misery and pain and suffering. We're always talking about, I want peace and serenity and recovery and happiness. What are we really used to? Fear and pain and drama. I really think there needs to be a 12-step group started for drama. Because we're a particular type of people. And you can have 3 good days in a row. And the 4th day, you start to bug out. Because we're not used to goodness. I'm going to say it again and end with this. We deserve all the goodness that life has for us. We have a skill set that will benefit this world. A lot of times we say we don't have a skill set. Sure we do. I can't concentrate. Sure you can. If I was at the dope house and they're fighting in this corner and the police are arresting somebody in that corner and there's a whole lot of mess going on, I could focus if the dope man said, as he whispered, Hector, the drugs are 2 blocks down. 2nd house on the left, 3rd door on the right on the 2nd floor. I'd hear everything. I can focus. We can make it happen. When there's a snowstorm, we don't take a break and say, well, we'll get high when the weather gets better. No, we'll shovel all the way to the dope man's house and cook him breakfast. So we have skills, we have talents, and whether you realize what those are or not, it doesn't matter. We need accountability in recovery. We need other people to help us. Because I did not have a clue. Doing this kind of work was the last thing that I ever thought I was going to do. But here I am. And so far, over 30 years, nobody's tried to shoot or stab me or spit in my food at restaurants. So I must have did something right. This is a celebration of us. And this thing is going to grow. I just want to thank the Firm Foundation, Zach, everybody that's here, all the other organizations for supporting us. This is only going to go upward and onward. So thank you again for your time. God bless you.